Hello everyone, welcome along to Racing TV. I'm sure you're well aware that we have no live racing for you as far as Limerick goes because that was abandoned a little bit earlier on. But we are not work shy at Racing TV. Daryl Jacob, myself, Donn McClean will be joining us later because we're going to give you a Dublin Racing Festival preview because that is the show in town this weekend, Saturday and Sunday at Leopardstown, all those Grade 1s and some key pointers for the big spring festivals as well. So we're going to be getting stuck into all those big races this weekend for the Dublin Racing Festival. With Daryl Jacob to my left, how are you?
Not too bad, not as sunny and tanned as what you're looking at the moment, so it is.
Is it obvious a bit away?
Oh yeah, you can tell.
Look, normally it's a quiet time of year. There's been a lot going on though. Obviously last weekend was pretty dramatic for lots of reasons, and this weekend is going to be fantastic because it's the Dublin Racing Festival. We hope, because it's currently, we should touch on this, the ground at Leopardstown is currently waterlogged in places and unraceable. There is rain knocking around. You were saying to me just outside you're pretty confident that it'll be okay because of how quickly it drains.
Yeah, they've done.
I shudder every time I say the word drain.
Drainage, yeah. They've done a brilliant job with the drainage, and it does drain very, very well there. As we can see or know in previous years, they've had to apply water during this sort of a meeting. But I left Ireland this morning at 1:30 this morning to get a flight back to here, and it was absolutely hammering down the River Slane. It was over flooding in Enniscorthy, and there's a lot of rain over there at the moment, and it's going to be wet enough for the week as well.
You're expecting testing ground then, fundamentally, right?
Yeah, it's going to be very tough work. I mean, I'm trying to think, Don will tell us a bit later on, I'm trying to think when the last time we've had where the ground is going to be this heavy at this sort of meeting. It'll be interesting to see what he says on that, but it's...
In the past, it's been plagued with non-runners on the Sunday, I remember,
yeah,
because of
the ground. Yeah, they've been watering up into it. So it's going to be a lot different conditions this year than what it has been for a few years.
Let's get an update on the markets. And the markets are just coming through, obviously, with 5-day entries today for the Sunday. James Mackey from Betfair joins me to talk about some of these key markets. How are you? First things first, James, all good? Welcome along to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Very well, thank you. What a weekend we've got in store at Leopardstown. Obviously, Sandown, some great racing as well. But this 2 days is my absolute pinnacle. And look, the Cheltenham Festival is what we all look forward to. But this really sets it up for the Irish, doesn't it? Yeah,
it's a brilliant couple of days racing. And you mentioned, of course, we've got Sandown as well with the Scilly Isles at the 2:40 on the Saturday. We have, though, that 2:55, 15 minutes after that, which is the Goffs Irish Arkle Novices Chase. How do you bet in that? It looks as though it's going to be an absolute cracker. I'm sort of half surprised at those odds. Go on.
Yeah, it's a race that's produced some superstars over the years, hasn't it? The likes of Undersow, Duvan, Footpad and Energy, to name a few, who've gone on to win at the Cheltenham Festival. But this year we did have two horses locked at the top of the market with seeking what is sixth straight win in the race, and has the Supreme Novices Hurdle winner Kopek Des Bordes, who was 6-4 joint favourite, but he's now out to 5-2 third favourite, having just one chase start this season where he was electric, and since he suffered a setback, he's having his first run for 75 days if he is to go in this race. But as you said, he was 6-4 joint favourite, now out to 5-2, where Romeo Coolio is now the 4-5 odds-on favourite for the contest from 6-4 at the latest declaration stage, who obviously was a lesser hurdler than Kopek Des Bordes, but has proved a much better chaser, winning all three starts this season, including the Grade 1 Drimmoor and Racing Post Novice Chase. On his last two runs, he himself has got question marks. Though, is the shorter trip he's opted? We'll find out on Saturday whether that is exactly what he wants, taking on some absolute proven horses over 2 miles. We mentioned Willie Mullins, where he's got the county hurdle winner Carl Geese in here as well, who she was really impressive on a second start over fence at Leopardstown over Christmas, and she's 9-4. Heading into Saturday and going back into Grade 1 company. Irish Panther is a 9-2 chance, 11-2 chance, who obviously went really close against Romeo Coolio at Christmas at Leopardstown. So it'll be interesting to see how that horse runs as well. And then you've got horses at bigger prices like Calaconta, who we mentioned, could obviously go to the Scilly Isles, but also could stay at Leopardstown in the Ladbrokes Novice Chase over 2 mile 5. But look, it's all about, I think, can Romeo Coolio prove again over 2 miles? But Kopek Des Bordes, is he well and able, and will he be absolutely 100% for this, or is this a stepping stone to the Arkle? It's going to shake up a lot of the markets going towards the Cheltenham Festival. It's a fascinating race, even though a little bit of a smaller field.
Yeah, and I guess the likely ground has really made up the elite team's mind as to where they're likely to run as opposed to over further on the Sunday. The Irish Gold Cup is the 3:30 contest with Galopin Des Champs 5-4, Factor File 6-1, Haiti Calor 6-1. Affordel Fury 7-1, Spindlebury 7-1, and there's, I know the way you're thinking at tens, and I guess there's going to be a few looking at that going, well, look, if he's back to what we know he's capable of, that's a massive old price, but he hasn't shown it so far this season, James.
Well, Tom, if you can't get excited about this race, what can you get excited about? This is an absolute cracker, isn't it? And it does all centre around Galopin Des Champs at the top of the market. The 5-4 favourite, look, he's looking to create a bit of history, becoming the first horse to win 4 in a row Irish Gold Cups. And I think the atmosphere at Leopardstown on Saturday, if he was to win this race, would be absolutely breathtaking. He's a dual Gold Cup winner. He should be set up perfectly for a crack at this race. Obviously, Backer finished third in the Savills Chase, having suffered a little bit of a setback at the start of the season. He loves this track. He loves this race. The punters you'd expect to be all over him in the lead up to this race, just because of how much he's won throughout his career, especially at Leopardstown. So he really sets the standard at the top of the market at 5-4. But he has 13 other runners in the anti-post market take on. Joint second favourite, Factor File at 6-1, looking to bounce back from his poor run in the King George, and he was third in this contest last year. There's still the worry over him whether he's out and out 3-miler. So, look, this will probably set him up for obviously a view to go to the Gold Cup or come back and trying to regain his Ryanair title at the Cheltenham Festival. We also have a British raider this year in Haiti Calors, who is 6-1 after his Welsh national success, and he's now looking to put his hat in the ring for the Gold Cup in March. He's looking to become the first British raider since 2009 to win the race, when Grand National winner Neptune Collonges landed the race for Betfair ambassador Paul Nicholls. The Savills Chase winner Affordel Fury is joined at 7-1 third favourite, having been superb in his second season over fences. This season, obviously scooped the Grade 1 Savills Chase at Leopardstown last time out. He can't be discounted. Spindlebury for Willie Mullins is a really interesting one here. Now 7-1, was 10-1. Is unbeaten in the last 5 races, and this will determine whether the mare heads to the Gold Cup or the Mare's Chase at the festival. And as you mentioned there, Tom, 2025 Gold Cup winner. I know the way you're thinking. He's out to 10-1 now for this from 8-1. He needs to bounce back for some seriously below par runs this term. And be interesting to see what happens on Saturday. Gaelic Warrior obviously is another interesting one, around 12-1 for Willie Mullins. He's a big Gold Cup hopeful for them. He's 12-1 for this race. He was third in the King George. It'd be interesting to see, obviously getting beaten by Factor File at this meeting last year, whether he really does handle Leopardstown. But look, he looks an absolutely superb renewal. There's chances all the way down the field, but it's all about one horse at the top of the market in Galopin Des Champs at 5-4.
You mentioned Spindlebury. Willie Mullins tends to operate by running the horses in the races that they've got the best chance of winning, Spindlebury Mare's Chase, and that ties in with the race we're going to be looking at next, because Lossiemouth, it seems, is still likely to head to the Mare's Hurdle. But, of course, events over the weekend and Sergino's absence from the festival may change that. 11-10, Lossiemouth, Brighterdaysahead 5-4, Amsterdam 5-1, El Fabiolo 6-1, Tenzin bigger the rest. Do you think Lossiemouth will definitely go off favourite, James?
Oh, look, I wouldn't be the man to put money on that at the moment, because, look, the two at the top of the market are really tightly knit. But as you said, Lossiemouth, she fell in this race last year, but she's 3 times winner at the Cheltenham Festival, obviously in the Triumph and the Mare's Hurdle. Where she'll go this year, it's still very up in the air. But the markets we have at the moment is she's now 2-1 favourite for the Champion Hurdle off the back of Sergino, obviously, unfortunately, getting injured at the weekend. And she's now out to 5-2 second favourite for the Mare's Hurdle, with Woodhoo now 6-4 favourite in that one. So that market, those two have absolutely flip-flopped all the way through the season, and we won't get a definitive answer until the 48-hour declaration stage at the Cheltenham Festival, will we? So who would want to be the man to guess where Willie Mullins will send this horse? Going on to Brighterdaysahead, 5-4, second favourite, was obviously second to Lossiemouth at Christmas, where she was emphatic at the meeting last year over Christmas, wasn't she? A brilliant winner, beating Stateman that day. She skipped the Dublin Racing Festival last year, but obviously she's had a slight bit of a setback, had a run at Christmas. She comes here, she could be absolutely spot on. I personally think that this will be Brighterdaysahead's day, if it's ever going to be, against Lossiemouth. And we know Lossiemouth probably hasn't had the best form in the world at the Dublin Racing Festival, as I said, fell and clipped heels when back in the Juvenile race a few years ago. So look, cracking contest between the top two in the market. We obviously have Amsterdam in there at 5-1, who was the potential horse at the start of the season but hasn't ran to that yet. And El Fabiolo, how interesting is this horse at 6-1 back over hurdles? Can he produce what we all thought he was going to overdo over fences? Back now over hurdles, put his name in the ring for the champion hurdle. And Ballyburn, another interesting one, down in trip at 10-1, was tried as a stayers hurdle horse at the start of the season, but now 10-1 for this. And could he put his hat in the ring? But look, it's a fascinating race, Tom, this is, and we'll get a bigger picture for what we think will happen in the champion hurdle.
James, thanks ever so much. Enjoy the 2 days on the channel. All the best.
Thanks, Tom.
So let's spin you through the first day then, as far as the racing goes. Day one of the Dublin Racing Festival looks like this on Saturday. 1:15, we kick off with the Grade 1 over 2 miles 6. Then the 1:50 is the Spring Juvenile. We're having a closer look at that very shortly, over 2 miles. Listed handicap hurdle over 3 miles 2:25 before the Goffs Irish Arkle. 2 miles 1:2:55. Paddy Power Irish Gold Cup 3:30. Barberstown Castle handicap chase is the listed race at 4:05. And we finish up with the Grade 2 2-mile bumper for the Colts and Geldings. This is the 1:50 then, with Narcissa Haas at 4-6, Monch 2-3-1. Selma de Very is 7-1. Bertea is 8-1, and it's 10-1 and bigger the remainder for this Gannon City Recovery and Recycling Services Juvenile Hurdle. Let's see the two of them up against each other. Then Monge 2, Narcissa has at Fairy House first of all at the back end of November. Unsurprising that it's between the two of them.
Yeah, this is the day that Narciso Haas won at Leopardstown, pretty much nearly making all with Danny Mullins his day. Obviously Paul and Mark Walsh were over in Kempton that day, but this is a good performance here. He improved from his first run against Monge 2 at Fairyhouse, and I love the way he quickened up here going down to the last, and this horse jumped with so much scope that day, Tom, and it was a big performance from his first run where I thought he needed his run against the mare at Fairyhouse. But just look at this, Danny gives him a little flick behind the saddle. Watch this, Tom. Look at the daylight that he puts between him and the second horses. They're going up and down in second and third place, but this horse is just absolutely motornome, and he's got a lovely action.
Do you feel that he took a huge step forward, or has he run to something similar?
I think the second horse that they ran against each other at Fairyhouse as well, Adrian, and I do think it was a big step up and forward. I loved the way he went a bit more. I thought he was a bit more sharper the way he went about his business. I thought he jumped a little bit quicker. And I thought that day that Danny rode him, I thought it was a good even gallop where there's no messing around. He knew he learned plenty from the first day. I just think he blew up the first time he needed to run. But Danny was wanting to make sure it was a good test. And he's a horse that, looking at his action there, he'll have absolutely no problem handling the ground the weekend.
So what do you make of the difference between them at the prices? Is it the fact that obviously Monge 2 has finished ahead of the gelding, but we haven't seen her for a little while, and Narcissa has another run and taken a step forward, and it's the DRF, and that tends to be the time that Mullins has them nearer 100%, but that's built into the mark.
Well, it's interesting. At Fairyhouse, when they met, there was a £3 difference. The mare, Monge 2, was getting £3 off of him. And at Leopardstown this weekend, there's going to be £7. So she is getting a £4 more of a turnover than whenever they met here at this time. But if you look there at this race, we had I'll Be Handy made the run, and that horse down the inside of Mark on the outside of him. He was jumping slightly left, but that didn't really mind. It didn't seem to faze him here. But you can see the mare with Jack Kennedy coming around Mark Walsh on the outside. Good jump in the second last. And here, this is where they kind of started sprinting from home turn here. Mark was still in with a fight, but watch when you could see him going down to the last, and Jack gets a really good jump out with the mare. Mark was in a little bit tight, and I think here, looking at him, I think here's where he slightly blew up here, slightly under the last. Jack Kennedy was quicker getting away from him, had a bit more momentum there. And you can see Mark Walsh, he was sort of gaining, but he wasn't gaining, if that makes sense. And I just thought his finishing speed that day wasn't as near as quick as what it was at Leopardstown. And I loved what he done at Leopardstown as well. He pulled right away.
It's an awfully long time ago, really, particularly in the where you think about where the Mullins horses can be at the end of November. That's a long while ago, and she'd had a run.
Yeah.
So
she had streak fitness there, and I can see you know, if you look at him even on the VT there, you can see him. He's a big, strong, scopy type of horse, and you can see where they're impressed from him. I remember Majbur looking a little bit like that. He was obviously a bit leaner as a 3-year-old, but he's a fine-looking horse, isn't he?
As we come back to, if we can come back to the betting, I think one of the other interesting points about this race is Sir Eric took this 13-8 favourite, Quilixios 4-6 favourite. Otherwise, favourites have been disappointing in the race in the last 10 years. Now, part of that was, you know, the fact that I think when Gala Marceau won it, that was Lossiemouth's year when she should have won it, wasn't it? I think, and that was a bit of a surprise. But Narcissa has his 4-6, Monge 2 is 3-1. What about some of the others in there who are completely unknown? Selma de Vere, who knows, 7-1. The other Elliott horse up there in the market,
Highland Crystal. She was meant to run. She was meant to run the weekend at Doncaster, and she unfortunately got loose on the way down to the start. So she could be a mare that would probably, I would imagine, she'll probably end up turning out here. And again, she's, you know, she won a listed race at Newbury and won a really tidy race at Maiden Hurdle at Punchestown as well. She's 12-1. And she's not out of it. I think she'll handle the ground as well by Crystal Ocean. She's a nice filling. She's got some really decent form as well.
Is there one you'd back in there or not?
I'm not a betting sort of man, but I mean, look, I can't really, if I'm being totally honest with you, I do like Narciso Haas. I love what he done from his first to his second form. And I do remember they were doing a bit of a stable tour about him at the start of the year. And it was a horse that they really touted out, as in they really, really liked him. So, you know, she does the mare, Monge out, she does get that 7 pull from him. And that's a really interesting 7-pound pull.
Let's move on to the Irish Arkle, Goss Irish Arkle, 2-mile 1 for this. Now, Romeo, Coolio 4-5 now, Cargesi 9-4, Kopek de Bordes out to 5-2, Irish Panther is 11-2, 33s and bigger. I genuinely thought we had the wrong odds at one point because I was looking at, you know, I was expecting Kopek de Bordes to be right up there. Now, you asked me as we have a look at Kopek de Bordes, I think that is the right place to start, Navan. You asked me, how can a horse like Romeo Coolio keep up with this horse?
Yeah, this is an interesting. So if you look at Kopek de Bordes here with Paul Townend obviously riding him this day, he was a little bit fresh. This is obviously turning into the home straight, but we didn't see the VT of him early doors. When he looked a little bit keen, you could see with Paul's body language, he was always kind of sitting back, and the horse, the last 3 strides, he started rubbering at the fences and he took them on. But over the last 3 fences here was actually his best 3 fences that he jumped, where Mark was sort of going forward with, or sorry, Paul was going forward with him and he winged down over him. I think this horse is, because we haven't seen him for quite a long time, I think he's going to be fresh again. But look at, he beat Romeo Coolio by 9 lengths, I think, in the Mike O'Sullivan Sky Bet Supreme at Cheltenham. I'm very, very surprised, if I'm being totally honest with you, how Romeo Coolio is a shorter prices and odds-on shot in this race. I'm staggered.
I feel like in the early part of the season, I love Romeo Coolio as a horse, sure. He's looked fantastic over fences, but there's been so much, I feel like, talk about him as a chaser. People going, I love this horse as a chaser. This is him. This is when he's going to come into his own. But I'm looking at a horse like Kopek de Bordes over 2 and going, can he beat him over that? If there was still a Grade 1 over 2.5 at the festival, that's how they'd be campaigning Romeo Coolio, surely.
Yeah, I have to admit, I didn't ever see him as a 2-miler, and I thought when he ran it down Royal at the start of the year over a trip, I thought he looked really, really good, and the way he just travelled, the way he jumped, it was all effortless for him. Well, he was always in a nice stride.
Let's compare that to St Stephen's Day and the defeat of Irish Panther, where he just got there. So this is back over 2-1 on, what was it, yielding ground.
Yeah, and look at Romeo Coolio, he travelled really well the whole way around, he jumped well enough, but as you can see now in a minute, from here now, you can look at Jack's body language, his lower leg is starting to move, his hands are starting to squeeze here, Irish Panther's in front and wings that, Jack's get a good jump, but watch Jack here, straight away after the second last, yes, this is on yielding ground, but from here, the horse is galloping on the 1 speed the whole way. The winner looked like as if in front, and it was only the stamina towards the end of the race that got him back up to win the race. So The only reason why I can think he's gone odds on is because obviously the rain has come and they're thinking this is going to be an absolute grueler at Leopardstown over the weekend, and it's going to turn into more of a 2.5 mile race, and that's why he's the odds on. But yeah, to me he's an out and out. I actually think he's a 3 miler, but 2.5 mile looks very, very comfortable, and it is literally taking all of this trip and a little bit more to get on top of Irish Panther. And no disrespect to Irish Panther, he's a very, very good horse. But do you see him as in being a major, major player against the quality of field that we have here?
Well, not on account of what he did over hurdles when he was beaten 7 lengths by Cargese, who's back in the field. Just the final point on Romeo Coolio. The expectation is that, and I can see it, if it is a very testing surface on Saturday, back over 2 mile 1, he'll be seen to better effect. If he handles very testing ground.
Yeah,
because he's not run on very testing ground.
I don't see the ground really being that much of an issue for him. I think he's got a nice action. He can go on it. He's got that rounded knee action. I think it'll help him that the ground is going to be soft, and it's going to be loose ground as well, Tom. You've got to remember, with all the rain that they're having, it's not going to be soft, holding, drying ground. It's going to be soft, loose ground. So therefore, the horses will be able to gallop through it an awful lot easier than what it would be if it was drying ground.
Cargese, what do you make of her and what she did at Leopardstown, what she's done so far over fences compared to her achievements over hurdles?
I absolutely love this mare. I think she's a really good mare. Whatever she's done over hurdles, she's going to trump her mark over fences. This is a really impressive performance. She got beaten at Cork by Caliconti the first day. She definitely looked like as if she needed that. She got very tired, and Paul Townend looked after her that day. But here, there was no messing around. Paul jumped out, made the run, and made it a proper gallop from start to finish. Lovely Hurling was finished second here, but was beaten miles that day. And Lovely Hurling was something like Kopek to Bordes, beat Lovely Hurling at Navan, but he was a long, long way behind her, and you could see with Paul just easing up on her in the last furlong, and Lovely Hurling is staying on. But this is a really good performance, and she jumped like an absolute buck, Tom, that day.
Over 9 of the 11.
Oh, she was brilliant. It doesn't matter. She could have jumped 20 fences that day. She never missed a beat from start to finish.
Sum it up for us.
I am, well, looking at the prices now, the way the ground is going to go, I am a massive Cargese fan, and she's getting £7 from the likes of Kopek to Bordes, who I think will have to really settle in this sort of a grade over this, because obviously he hasn't ran for a little bit of time. The way he ran at Navan, he was a bit fresh early doors. I worry about that a little bit for him, if I'm being totally honest with you. So I'm going to go with Cargese at the price that she is, 9-4.
OK, I think Romeo Coolio on testing will win this. And then I think we'll sort of skew
We'll have a pint for this, a pint of Guinness on this one then.
Yeah, that'll do me. But then I think that'll skew the Arkle market itself, and I think that's going to make it interesting going forward. Calls a festival. Not sure is the ideal type for that. The Gold Cup then, the 3:30. Goodness, where do you start with this? Look at them. If 3/4 of those turn up, happy days. If half of them do, Galopin Des Champs 5-1, Fatfar 6-1, 80 Calor 6-1. Down to I know the way you're thinking at 10-1. So let's have a look at Galopin Des Champs beating Fact to File. I know the way you're thinking on the 1st of February last year. We know how much this horse loves this track, and it was such a shame he wasn't seemingly at his best. Well, he wasn't at his best at Cheltenham, but he was right back at it at Punchestown. There'll be those that will say he's over the hill now.
He's a 10-year-old, but I actually thought he ran really well the last time. I was here this day, and the reception that he got here this day put hairs on the back of my neck standing up. It was unbelievable.
And Punchestown.
And Punchestown. He's been a fan favourite. They absolutely love this horse. He wears his heart in his sleeve. He tries. Factor File, to me, I don't think he really stayed the trip. They rode him differently, and they gave him every chance to get the trip. For me personally, I don't think he stayed. Grange Clare West stayed on for second that day. It was a huge performance by him. I mean, he's back in the race again this year. But Galopin Des Champs, to me, I can see why he's favoured. He deserves to be favoured, even though he is taking on a young pretender in Affordale Dale.
Yeah, Affordale Fury, who of course beat him over the Christmas on what was sort of untraditionally Galopin Des Champs' first start, because quite often you'll see him running the John Durkan, which you never expect him to win. But on account of this being a first start of the season over the 3, I think the expectation was, well, even though it's his first start, he might just go and take it. But this horse won at 7-1 at Philadelphia.
Yeah, and the difference here this day is Paul sort of took a lead here this day, because obviously he hadn't ran for quite a while. He didn't take it up as he customarily does, done halfway down the back, and really put the stamina to use. He kind of sat on him here. And again, Fury had the few runs before, had the fitness on his side. You could see what he was doing. He was jumping a little bit left, or to the right, with Sam Ewing the whole way. Puts off IMAX's there on the outside. And to me, I think fitness what's won the day here for this horse of Noel Meads. And Galopin Des Champs came up the middle there, and to me he looked like as if he had a blow. But what I liked about him, he still ran on towards the end of the race, and I think he'll come on bundles for that race. He's a big horse and big burly, and like I say, a year older, just going to take that a little bit more condition to get off him.
And the JP horse was Aya Maximus at 50-1. Not, I know the way you're thinking, who you saw in the head-on out the back. Did complete, but being eased. I
thought Aya Maximus ran a huge race. Right, that's one of his best races that he's ran for bar, obviously, the National for a while. So that was really promising, that race. And if he hadn't kind of got sort of his side taken off the fence, he would have ran a lot closer. And
where are you with I know the way you're thinking then? Because Gavin Cromwell's been quite open that he wasn't bouncing at home about the time. He's seen some improvements. He suggested on Nick Luck's podcast, I thought it was a very interesting interview where he talked about the importance of looking at the horse in the paddock, and if he's doing some of that pointed stepping he can do, I think he referred to it as dancing, that will be a key to, because he wasn't doing it over Christmas, as to whether some of that buzz is back with him. He's been hugely disappointing. Yeah,
but if you look at, do you remember when we were down at Cheltenham and we watched him canter down the post? I said to you, going down the start, look at the condition of this horse. His coat was absolutely gleaming. And if I'm being totally honest with you, I haven't seen his coat like what I did see at the Cheltenham Festival that year since that. And I've been there and I've watched him a couple of times running. And Gavin Cromwell's horses obviously haven't been in the form. He had 3 winners at Gorham Park the other day, and that was a huge boost for him to get his horses. So a lot of his horses haven't been quite right where they have been so far. So he's looking to turn his season around. And but yeah, I'd like to see his coat before I really have another, say, a punt on him, or whatever you want to say.
Quickly, as perhaps we look at the betting again on Haiti Coolio, who's right up there, can he actually cut it, do you think, against proper Grade 1 horses? Just he didn't prove it at Haydock.
Haydock, you could put. Look, you got to put a line through Haydock. He was very fit when he went for the Pertams race at Newbury. I was there that day. He looked really well, actually. I was surprised, considering I thought they were kind of gearing him up towards the Gold Cup. I thought he looked very, very fit at Newbury, and he obviously, look, he won that race, but I think he had a hard enough race at Newbury, and then I think they backed him up quite quickly to go to the Betfair Chase. He never went a yard in the Betfair Chase. He put a line through that, it just for whatever reason never went. But I was really impressed with him in the Welsh National. Again, I was there that day, and I was working, and wow, Sean went some gallop. He took it up early and he put them to the sword very, very early, and it was a huge performance.
Who wins?
I'm going to stick with Galopin Des Champs because I absolutely love the horse, and I think the reception that he would get coming back in there would be magnificent. I just think the ground was too quick for him at Cheltenham. I still think he's got the form. I think he ran well the last day, and I think he's going to come up in front.
When he won at Punchestown, it was incredible. I think he's the staying chaser of a decade, and it'd be great if he were to go on and win that. And there's obviously going to be plenty in his favour, but it looks very, very deep, potentially, that renewal of the Irish Gold Cup. We're going to take a pause after that. We're going to hear from Donn McClean and then turn our attentions to Sunday. Don't go anywhere. Right, we're going to turn our attention to Sunday shortly. We may do with Donn McClean as we speak to him ahead of the Dublin Racing Festival. Don, welcome. No rest for the wicked. We still got you working. How are you?
Good, Tom. Yeah, no, good. Just listen to yourself and Daryl there. Yeah, what a weekend in store. Yeah, shame we lost Limerick today. I was all set to head on down there, but it's a little bit warmer and a little bit drier here, Tom, than it would be in Limerick, I'm sure.
Are you worried about conditions and ground? Are you pretty sure everything will go ahead?
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully. It has to be a concern. Like, they've had an awful lot of rain, and I saw a few pictures there of the back straight at Leopardstown. So, look, the ground staff are going to be working really hard. There's a little bit of rain forecast tomorrow, I think, a little bit more on Thursday, and then not so much on Friday and Saturday. So, and as Daryl was saying there earlier, like the track drains so well, and it drains so well. It's been a problem whenever it's been dry, but it's an asset now. Obviously, with all we've had series, and as you have had over there. I'm about 20 minutes from the track from Leopardstown, and we all night. It's just been lashing rain the whole night. I think they had 56 millimeters. I think they said over the last 24 hours. And something like 160 millimeters in the last 12 days, something like that. So it's a serious amount of rain that they've had. And yeah, look, fingers crossed. Hopefully they'll be working hard to get it to go ahead, and hopefully it will. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I think we got between 1 and 2 mil in Dubai on Sunday, Don. Yeah, it was unbelievable. But we got through it. What do you think about Galopin then? I feel like we left part one with him, and in the interim played out a lot of features with him in it. He has been phenomenal. The blip came at Cheltenham, of course, but we know how much he loves this track. The rightful 5-4 favourite and the one to beat.
Yeah, I think so. Look, he's just turned 10, Tom, so he's not a whippersnapper anymore. And all that he's achieved, a dual Gold Cup winner, second in the Gold Cup last March. And yeah, look, I suppose the question about him then is his defeat in the Savills Chase this year. How much was that attributable to the fact that it was a seasonal return, or how much was it attributable to the fact that his powers are on the wane? And I like, if you look back on his last two seasons, when he won or when he ran in the John Durkan Chase 2 years ago, he stepped forward considerably to the Savills Chase and won that, then won the Irish Gold Cup. Same last year, he was third in the John Durkan Chase in each of the last two seasons. This year, of course, he missed the John Durkan Chase. He had that setback. He was making a seasonal return in the Savills Chase, and even then he travelled well into his race, moved up on the inside of Affordale Fury. He looked like he'd go and win it, and I think lack of a recent run told in the end. Like his performance at Punchestown, when it was only a 4-horse race in the Punchestown Gold Cup last season, but he was imperious in winning that day, and to me that's important in assessing whether or not he's generally on the decline. I think that his run the last day, if he can come forward by even nearly as much from his first run to his second this season as he did in each of the last two seasons, then yeah, look, and as you said, Tom, he loves Leopardstown. The soft ground is in his favour, and yeah, I think we'll see a different horse to the horse that we saw in the Savills Chase.
And the other factor to take into account, I guess, is a quieter December than we would often expect for Willie Mullins. I mean, over the December period as such, his results were, I think, comparable to 12 months ago. But December as a whole, they were definitely quieter on the numbers, on the strike rate, which is back up to, I think, 33% in January. But do you attribute that to his run in any way or not?
Yeah, it's a possible factor, Tom. I think Willie Mullins had a good Christmas festival. I mean, the kind of sentiment was that he had a disappointing Christmas festival, but his results were still good. But just listening to Patrick over the last week to 10 days, he's saying stuff like, the bumper horses are in boot camp now, and we're very happy with where these horses are now. And, we know that Willie Mullins gets stronger as the season develops. That's the way he operates. And like the last few Dublin Racing Festivals, he won 7 races at the Dublin Racing Festival last year, and there are only 15 of them, including 6 of the Grade 1s. So yeah, look, I think the Willie Mullins horses generally, they're nearing or getting to concert pitch now for the Dublin Racing Festival, and it's probable that Galopin Des Champs will be a beneficiary of that. So yeah, I think even as a 10-year-old, I still think he's the one they have to beat.
And Don, just quickly, fast or slow? He's obviously seen he's out to 20-1. Obviously disappointed he went off 9-2 the last day at Leopardstown. Soft ground. What do you think? Is he? I always see him sometimes whenever horses have that long lead, they run well, but then the second one isn't quite as well. Would you see this horse coming forward an awful lot from his last run?
Yeah, he needs to, Daryl, doesn't he? Like you definitely allow him his run in the John Durkan Chase on his debut. Last time, I thought he ran well, maybe a little bit below where you might have expected him to be, given that he had his seasonal return. But just again, reading what Martin Brattle was saying during the week, he seems to be positive about him, and I wouldn't worry about soft ground for him. I know he wasn't he withdrawn from the Savills Chase a couple of seasons ago because of soft ground. But yeah, look, he operates on soft ground while he's at his best at Punchestown in the Punchestown Gold Cup, on Punchestown ground in April. He does handle soft ground before, and he's a classy horse. But yeah, you'd like to see him bouncing back now. Like, he's a 10-year-old as well, and he's had his issues. Obviously, he had a little while or the last season on the sidelines. But yeah, hopefully he'll be able to come forward from his run at Leopardstown, because his run at Leopardstown was a good step forward on his John Durkan Chase run, but you'd think he's going to have to come forward again from that.
Let's discuss the Irish champion, and we're going to come to it with Daryl in the show shortly. But I don't want to ask you just who's going to win, but also what it means for where they will run respectively at Cheltenham. Give us an outline of what you think will happen and what that means for the champion hurdle.
Yeah, look, it's fascinating, isn't it? Like, obviously, Lossiemouth and Brighterdaysahead, and two top-class mares, they've got the same rating, actually. They're both rated 159. And then there was only a length between them in the December hurdle. And I think there's every chance that Brighterdaysahead can bridge that gap. Like, that was her first run of the season, her first run since last May. She was, as has been well documented, intent on a chasing campaign. She had a bit of a setback, delayed her return, then it delayed her a little bit more. And then Gordon Elliott and Jigginstown decided to go back hurdling with her, which you can understand in the middle of the season. You retain her novice status for next season. She's still only 7. So I thought the run that she put up was a big run. She closed on, I watched that race again this morning. She closed on Lossiemouth to about 3/4 of a length, halfway up the run-in, and then Lossiemouth went away again. Now, that might have been down to Lossiemouth seeing her and going on again. Maybe she was just idling a little bit in front. And it might have been down to Brighterdaysahead, just lack of a run since last May. That just kind of told on the final 150 yards on the run up the hill. But Gordon Elliott, at his media day there on Monday, he said that he thought she'd come on quite a bit from that. So she's only got a length to find. Lossiemouth obviously had a run in the Morgiana hurdle and won impressively. So she had race fitness on her side. And look, Lossiemouth's fantastic mare. Her record over hurdles is exemplary. But Brighterdaysahead, for me, it was great that she came back and put up that performance, because her last 2 runs at Cheltenham and Punchestown last season, she needed to bounce back, but she did the last day. And yeah, I think she can get even closer to Lossiemouth than she did. But what that means in looking forward to the rest of the season and on to Cheltenham, who knows?
I guess what I'm asking, Don, is does the winner go for the champion and the one that doesn't win of these two go for the mares, or is it not as simple as that?
I don't think it's quite as simple as that, Tom. I think no. you know with Willie Mullins, we won't know until 10 o'clock on Sunday which race she's going to go for.
Sorry.
No, go on, Darryl.
No, but the interesting, because obviously, Don, the ground with the two of these mares is going to be very, very different on Sunday compared to Cheltenham the weekend. Out of the two of them, Lossiemouth and Brighterdaysahead, who do you think would prefer the ground more, the softer?
I think they both handle it. For me, Brighterdaysahead, she's a real staying mare over 2 miles, isn't she? And it's interesting as well that King of Kingsfield was in the race, but if they get it the fast pace that she needs to be at her best, then on the ground that'll make it. I think a stamina test over 2 miles will suit Brighterdaysahead better than it will suit Lossiemouth. Look, Lossiemouth, she's top class over 2.5 miles, so it's not that she doesn't stay, but yeah, maybe attritional conditions might play more to Brighterdaysahead's strengths.
I want to just touch on, in the 3 or so minutes we've got left, the two 2-mile chases, the novice and the Dublin Chase itself. Let's start with the Dublin Chase. You are, of course, crowned champion of the Marine Nationale fan club, Don, and I assume you've seen nothing this season, albeit in defeat, that puts you off him?
Ground is a bit of a worry, Tom. Yeah, very soft ground would be a bit of a worry. Like, he's such a good moving horse that, like, heavy ground, as we're going to get, that to me, it's not a positive for Marine Nationale. Majborough, like what an engine that horse has, and I think Solness is continually underrated at Leopardstown. Like, he did this last year, he won at the Christmas Festival, won again here. This year again, he's won at the Christmas Festival. He beat Marine Nationale by a half a length. But I think on soft ground, which it's going to be, you can see Solness getting into his rhythm, going out wide again. And yeah, I thought he should have been a bit closer to Marine Nationale in the betting than he is on the ground.
That's going to be very, very interesting. And as ever, I just look forward to hearing from Barry Connell before and after the race and what he's going to say about his horse. He's box office when it comes to comments about his horses. Daryl?
Yeah, and the Irish Arkle, Don. Romeo Coolio, short price favourite, 4-5 against Kopek de Bordes. How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, I guess that might be down to the setback that Kopek de Bordes has had in the lead up to the race. Romeo Coolio and that multiplied by the ground, like the ground is obviously going to put an emphasis on stamina, and that suits Romeo Coolio well. I heard you discussing it earlier on, and I fully agree with what you said, Tom, about Romeo Coolio. If there was a 2.5 mile race, that would be his race. Gordon left him in the 2 mile race here at the weekend and the 2 mile 5 race, and he was going to be determined by different factors as to which one he would go for. I suspect with the ground as it is, it's going to go for the 2 mile race. And it's not 2 miles, it's 2 miles and a furlong at Leopardstown up the hill. Like it's a stiff extended 2 miles, and that will suit him well. Like he needed it every yard of it the last day to beat Irish Panther. And Irish Panther has been a little bit of an underrated horse in the race. I think he's a player in the race. Like he kicked on, it looked like he had the measure of Romeo Coolio the last day of Christmas, and he could be a big player in the race as well. And Cargesi, like what a likeable mare this is going to be a hell of a race if those four all line up. But yeah, the ground is definitely in favour of Romeo Coolio. He's a better chaser than Hurdler. You can understand why he's favourite. I do agree though, he's a very short price favourite in what to me is a really competitive race. Like if any one of those four won the race, you wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, and just finally, I want an honest appraisal, not a biased one of Talk the Talk. So go on.
Yeah, look, I'm dying to see him again. The last day, it is interesting. Like at the time watching it live, I definitely thought he was going to win. But then watching it again, like the strength with which Skylight Hustle went to the line, we don't know for sure. But and still, Talk the Talk is probably the most likely winner, but it's not definite. I think he would have had to find. He would have had to find plenty, and Daryl will know a lot more about this than I do, but I thought he would have had to find plenty.
He had loads left in the tank. He was only tossing, so he was.
He was just trotting, yeah. Look, I'm dying to see him again. And he was unlucky, wasn't he, the last day? Like, he nearly overjumped it, the hurdle. He may have had even more energy left than he needed. But I think Ballyfad's a big player in there. He was very impressive the last day. Apparently, he doesn't do too much at home. Keeps it for the race course. And his final, the pace that he showed, the sections that he clocked at the end of the race the last day were really impressive, and obviously Leader Dalla has gone on and won there yesterday. King Rasco Gray, his form at Limerick was in hand. Shuttle Diplomacy, who ran an impressive winner at Naas there on Sunday. So there's another race that you're just dying to see how it pans out.
Don, love your stuff. Thanks ever so much.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks to Donn McClean. We're going to have a look at Sunday then, which involves some of those races we've touched on there. We kick off with the listed handicap hurdle for mares, 12.40, then the Ladbrokes Novice Chase Grade 1 over 2 miles, 5.5. 1.40 is the first race we're going to have a look at very shortly. No, it's not. We're going to look at the 110. Ignore me, right? Novice hurdle over 2 miles. It's all in front of me. 2.10, the Dublin Chase over 2 miles, 1. 2.45, we've got the Grade 3 handicap chase, then the Irish Champion, and the 3.52 is the listed handicap hurdle before the mares bumper over 2 miles. As promised, the 110 Ladbrokes Novices Chase features Final Demand 4-11, Kai Doty 5-1, Western Fold 8-1. Jimmy the Soul 10-1. It's one of the less competitive races of the meeting. Much of that because Romeo Coolio is looking as though he's going to go elsewhere, and it's Final Demand, who is 2 from 2 over fences, including a Limerick success in top-level company last time. He's lovely. He's so taken with this.
I actually think he wasn't at his very best this day with Patrick Mullins down at Limerick. This day, I thought the horses got into, especially Gold Dancer, got into the race a little bit too comfortable for my liking. And Jimmy DeSoul, you can see him there. He faded out of it quite tamely here, but I loved what this horse done with Paul Townend around Navan the day he beat Wingman. Paul never moved on him, and he just measured every single fence spot on, and he's an absolute powerhouse, isn't he?
I mean, he
you
looks...
can just see Jimmy DeSule there just stopped very, very tamely, and look, it wasn't really much of a race then after that. But
no, well, they had the choice. They had the option of going to the Quartet Star with Jimmy at one point, didn't they? And then they took Kitzbühel, who won that, and pitched this horse in against Final Demand, who, I don't know, I liked him a lot as a hurdler, obviously winning at this meeting last year from Wingmen again, and then I thought he was done for speed by a very good horse in the New Lion, and he's just looked, I thought, electric over his fences. Well, what do you think is going to be his distance ultimately?
Oh, he's going to be a fine 3. I mean, I think he will be a Gold Cup horse going down along the line. I think he's an exception, just the way he measures his fences. Like you say, I actually don't think he was at anywhere near his best that day, and what it shows is even when he's not at his very best, he's still way above the rest of them. And Gold Dancer is no mug. He's a decent horse in his own right, and it was a really good performance. But I think really, if you go back to, I know he won, obviously that was a grade 1 that day, but I was just really taken with his Navan performance. He was very good at Punchestown when he beat Lovely Hurling. His only defeat is to the New Lion over hurdles, and that was, for me, again, I'm a bit like yourself, I thought he just got outspeeded.
He was well backed on the day, I remember that much. So it seems like nothing against him. We'll move on. Daryl very positive, and me also, obviously, about Final Demand. 2 mile 1 is the Ladbrokes Dublin Chase, where Marine Nationale is 6-4, Madbury is 2-1, Solness 3-1, Founder 58-1, 10-1, and bigger the remainder. Solness beating Marine Nationale, and Madbury picked the bones out of this one. There were a few, Daryl.
Well, Sean Flanagan did miracles to sit on Marine Nationale when it made an absolute howler at the second fence. And Sean, I'm very good friends with Sean Flanagan, and here you just see he comes up here, look, just lands right in the middle, completely unbalances Sean. And yeah, look, he had on his outside, Keith Donoghue on his outside to kind of keep him in the plate. But from then on, Sean rode a different type of race. He just wanted to get the horse. Look, he skewed over that a little bit. He jumped well enough after that, but say the effort that's taken out, and he's got him into the race. He's blown up again, but he ran on really well. I actually think the ground is going to be against Marine Nationale on Sunday, but it'll be to his favour again when it comes to the Champion Chase in March. I actually think Majborough, I haven't given up on Majborough. I think conditions here, I think it's going to be a really good test, and I think conditions here at Leopardstown the weekend are going to be tailor-made for Majborough.
But how's it going to do horses tend to jump better at a deeper ground, or is it just the pace they're going to be going?
The pace where I find he gets done for his chasing is when the pace is on. They'll go a good even gallop in this race. You can see him there for the first mile of that race, even on that ground. He was still keen enough in Mark's hands, and then he got relaxed, and then from the back of the third lash you could see Mark's lower leg getting a little bit lower. His body was starting to move, he's starting to change it and asking him for a little bit more. He just hadn't got the tactical speed, from the back of 3 out to 2 out the last, whereas they're not going to quicken as much off this sort of ground, and that's going to leave him in deeper into the race. He's not going to get outspeed, and that will help his jumping later on towards the end of the race. So I think Majborough could run a huge race in this, Tom.
Can you make a case for anything else in there, deeper ground for a Nurga Men potentially? Like, I think it's, given what happened last time, particularly the top 3 in the market took each other on, it's an interesting shape of a race.
It's a brilliant race. You've got Founder 50 in there as well, that's in the race. And again, he's a big price, but he's a very, very solid horse. He ran against Solness last time and actually ran really well. And he's a horse that's very versatile, is in ground as well. He won't mind the ground as well. So I think it's a great race. And Solness, back to winner last time, beat Marine Nationale. Obviously, his form around Leopardstown is unbelievable, and
heavy ground
there. Yeah,
concern.
Well, it's all about getting him out and getting him into a nice rhythm and getting him travelling. I think he's not too bad on the ground, but it's just whether he can get that going forward, get him into that rhythm, and getting him enjoying from the front end.
OK, that's the Dublin Chase. the Irish champion is fascinating. I'm in Donn's camp that I definitely think Brighterdaysahead might beat her, to be honest. But I don't think that mare likes Cheltenham all that much, whereas Lossiemouth does. 11-10, Brighterdaysahead 5-4, Amsterdam 5-1, El Fabiolo 6-1, 10-1, and bigger than Romeo. Is El Fabiolo running?
He's going to work this week, but and seeing how he gets on this week in a piece of work, and then we'll make our decisions after that. But look, he's in there at the entry stage, and the ground will really suit him. It was a really good run at Punchestown whenever he came back, and he absolutely bolted in that day. We all thought he'd need the run a little bit that day, and yes, he did need the run, but he's come out of the race and he's been bouncing, and the ground's going to be really in his favour.
I remember when he went close over hurdles at Aintree to John Bon, and everyone went, "Oh, I tell you what, when he jumps a fence," and now he's gone the other way. He's gone
back. Yeah,
you're talking about his back end to me and how he's not quite launching himself over his fences, but hurdles, he looked neat and tidy and lovely. Anyway, we're getting waylaid on a 10-1 shot. Lossiemouth, Brighterdaysahead, Amsterdam. Well, who do you think's going to win?
That's why I was asking Donn the question earlier on, who would prefer the ground conditions to where they're going to be at Leopardstown on Sunday. I thought that was a really good run from Brighterdaysahead there. She slightly reached for the second last game. Lossiemouth and the Zamba in the front here in the yellow colours, with Patrick Mullins just basically took off with him halfway down around the back, and he folded quite here. And you can see Lossiemouth, the grey mare, coming here on the outside, taking it up. But Brighter Days ran really well considering she needed the run. She hadn't run for a long time. Lossiemouth had the previous experience. I thought that was a really good run, and she's really put it up to Lossiemouth from the back of the last.
Yeah, I think she's very smart. As Donn pointed out, she's rated the same as Lossiemouth. Caught me out a bit, that. I would have thought Lossiemouth would, but you know, they are rated the same.
It's interesting when you look at the action of the both, and Lossiemouth has a bit more, she covers a bit more ground than Brighterdaysahead. If you look at the VT there, she's got a longer sort of a stride than what Brighterdaysahead had. So, you know, you obviously Brighterdaysahead would want more of a stamina, and the conditions at Leopardstown will really suit her. I think she'll go on the ground, no problem at all.
Do you think, in the absence of Sergino, Lossiemouth will run in Champion Hurdle?
Willie's Willie, isn't he? You never know what Willie or what cards he's going to play, and he's going to obviously wait till the weekend. But I agree. But if you're a professional sport and to win races, you want to be winning them at the top level. Whether it's, you know, the Cheltenham Festival is the Cheltenham Festival. You want winners at the Cheltenham Festival, and you got to put the horses in that you think are going to win. Yes, I can understand why people want Lossiemouth to run in the Champion Hurdle, but if she's a shoe-in the Mayor's Hurdle race, you know she's going to win that, and then you come into the second or third in the Champion Hurdle, it's a bit of a sickener.
Where would she have finished in last year's Champion Hurdle?
Well, look, I mean, half the field fell in the Champion Hurdle. I know you've got to be in it to win it, but she still won it, didn't she? Right? She still had a W next to her name, leaving Cheltenham on the Friday evening, didn't she?
My two takeaways after that Champion Hurdle were, one, what a nuts race.
Well, we were down there shouting it all. We couldn't believe what was happening.
And two, how far would Lossiemouth have won? You know, but I don't know. I guess I was trying to get out of Donn as well. How much does this impact what happens?
Well, it's going to be massive. It's going to be massive how, after this weekend, will be key how it's all going to unfold, because obviously we've seen what happened last weekend on Trials Day. The Champion Hurdle is so open this year, and Golden Ace isn't out of it again, you know.
Well, no, and of course she's not, because of what she's proven time and time again, winning 2 Grade 1s when she wasn't necessarily expected to. Lossiemouth, I think she'll run.
Do you know what? It's a puzzle. It's a puzzle that we can all talk about day and night, and you know what? We won't know till 10 o'clock on the Sunday where she's going to go.
Do you think El Fabiolo could win this race?
He's definitely a player if he turns up into the race. He's definitely a player for sure, because he'll go on the ground. Stamina's not a problem, so it doesn't matter how hard they go or how slow they go. He's got pace and he's got stamina.
Is there anything else across the weekend? We didn't touch on the 115 on Saturday, for example, the novice header, which has Dr. Steinberg at the top of the market. You've got Kazansky in there as well. But you don't have to go there. Just anything else this weekend which you're in particular looking forward to?
We're obviously looking forward to Talk. He was obviously coming to win his race at the last meeting, the Grade 1 at the last meeting. Joseph O'Brien has always talked highly of him, and he worked really well with JJ and schooled really well with JJ since there. And he looks a really, really exciting horse that when he runs on the Sunday in the 2 mile 1 novice, and El Carrios doesn't run, so the race looks like a really nice opportunity for him.
Who do you think is the best Irish 2 mile novice we've seen so far this season? Oh yeah,
I'm hopeful. I've got to say, Talk.
I need to be better at my job than asking the guy that represents them. Okay, yeah.
El Carrios does look very smart.
He does look very smart,
doesn't he? Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see him. He runs in the maiden hurdle next week, doesn't he?
What does the talk need to be seen to best effect?
He needs a real strong gallop to run at, to settle down nicely, and he's got a lot of stamina too, but he's a very good cruising speed. And the whole thing about him is this year is just getting to relax, settle, and do the job nicely. And he's coming on in bundles. Joseph sort of is playing him out towards the end of the year, and I think this horse is just going to keep improving and improving, Tom.
Is he the one for the future at the moment, the best of the younger ones?
I think so, yeah. He looks it anyway at the moment.
Where are you going to be?
I will be over there.
Good.
Yeah, for the 2 days. Yeah, very much looking forward to Simon and Isaac and Anthony are over, so we're going over there for the weekend and hopefully talk and give us a Grade 1 winner.
Yeah. Will the team be there on the Saturday as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's loads to look forward to. Good. Thank you. I'm glad we did some work in the end.
Yes,
you didn't fly over for absolutely nothing.
No,
anyway.
exactly. So turn around and fly back home again.
You literally off straight away?
Later on in the week.
Well, you had a late night last night, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Early start, yeah. So, back... looking forward to getting to the Kip tonight, and then I'll be back over later on in the week. Looking forward to seeing some of Simon's horses later on in the week.
Good man. Daryl, thank you very much. A reminder, tomorrow we've lost our 2 jumps meetings, but we do have Dundalk for you. We'll be on air slightly later than was originally advertised, and then we go into the Stan and Ollie show, which is going to be Stan and Rishi tomorrow, because Ollie isn't here. But we will be back together again eventually in about 3 weeks' time, I promise. Thanks, everyone. Don't forget to join us for the Dublin Racing Festival Saturday and Sunday this weekend. We will see you there. Bye-bye.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.